This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I'm Sal Berry, and with me is Tim Parrish and Clemente Lisi. And today we're going to talk about the 2023-24 O-Pee-Chee Hockey set. We'll also talk about that 1979-1980 O-Pee-Chee Hockey case, full case, that sold for $3.72 million at auction, including Briar Premium. And we'll talk about a few other odds and ends. So, gentlemen, how are we doing? Clemente, what's up with you, man? I know you had plans last week, and we took a bye week, but that's okay because I was able to post that Bernie Perrant interview. How are you? How have you been?
I've been good. I've been traveling a little bit. I was spending a little bit of time in the UK. We'll talk about that in a bit. And last week was the bye week, but it was fun to listen to the interview again because it reminded me of the time we spent at the Expo. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. And Tim, how have you been?
I've been waiting for somebody to ask me. So.
And?
Oh, I didn't know I had to answer though too.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm all right. I'm here.
That's good. That's good.
I'm alive.
Your card room didn't flood this year yet so far?
No, but we had another flood in the basement. If you can believe that.
Yeah, but
the sump pump went out.
Oh no.
Yeah, it rained a ton
Uh-huh.
over here. And the sump pump went out in the middle of the night and there was water on the floor and it seeped out through the laundry room into the hallway. So yeah, not fun. And so that had to be replaced. So
the joys of being a homeowner.
People wonder why I don't spend billions of dollars on cards. This is why. This is why I don't. Because I have a house.
Your card room's on the different floor.
It's on the lower floor.
First floor is what most people call it.
Well, if it was a first floor, but I live in a split level house, so depending on what side of the fence you live on, some people call it a first floor, some people call it a basement. I call it the lower level.
I gotcha. Yeah, the lower level. That makes sense.
Well, I guess Sal's question is your stuff at risk of getting wet?
It could be. I don't keep stuff on the floor very often.
Right.
But like in my actual, what I call the card closet or the card garage, everything's on shelves, so it's up off the floor about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. But everything's carpeted down here, so if it gets wet, it's going to be a nightmare, which it has been.
Like a big sponge.
Luckily, this time it wasn't on carpeting. It was just on the tile, but it seeped out into the hardwood, so hopefully we don't get any curling. I had fans on it and everything else, and then we replaced the pump, and no new cards for me.
Yeah. Well, glad you didn't flood and lose stuff. I remember when you had the bathroom that like the toilet or sink clogged or something, and that
the toilet kept running. It wouldn't stop. And
it
just overflowed and kept going, and it did it all day for 7 hours.
Jeez.
So, yep. That was the first time that was really bad. We had to tear out all the carpeting and do all of that. I had pulled all my cards out of there. I really didn't lose that much. I lost a 3,200 count box of 2010-11 Upper Deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like a full one. Because that was back when I was overbuying. And 2011-12 also. One like that. That was it. And I lost like a bunch of my shipping supplies. Like empty cardboard and stuff like that. Which I don't care about. It's not worth anything. But that was it. So I didn't really have like an insurance claim or anything for cards, but rest of the house we did. So what are you going to do? It's the money pit, right?
Yeah, so I've been told. Clemente, do you want to talk about your article that you had recently published in Sports Collectors Digest? Should we just talk about that now?
Oh, that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's I haven't even gotten it yet. So,
yeah.
Is that a cover article?
Yeah, it's a cover article.
Yeah.
You got a cover article?
Cover number 2 after Bedard. I did a piece on Gretzky collectibles, which is the kind of piece that, let's be honest, it's evergreen. That could have ran any time. It actually coincidentally ran around the same time as this case now being sold. So that was kind of good. But yeah, no, it was, I did some reporting at the Expo. I did some reporting afterwards. And if anyone who knows anything about hockey or loves hockey, Gretzky is this enduring, figure in our sport, not just hockey. I think it transcends maybe with the exception of Michael Jordan, maybe the only other athlete I think that, in terms of enduring quality over the decades. And so it was fun because all of us remember Gretzky playing, and so it's nice to go back and go down memory lane. And so it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, it's probably in your mailbox now. I haven't got my digital copy yet. I usually get it in my email. Maybe I got it today. I don't even know. But thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it was a fun article to work on.
I'll tell you what I like about the Sports Collector Digest retrospective articles, like the one that you wrote. So obviously I know a lot about hockey. I don't know a lot about other sports. Like I know enough about other sports that I can carry on a conversation with somebody like seated at the same table together. And this guy's a football fan and I'm a football fan. I know enough about 80s, 90s football that we could like carry on a conversation. But like when they have an article about a player that I've heard of, but I just don't really know a lot about their career. So then I'll read those articles. I'll say like, yeah, I heard of this guy. He played in the 60s and the 70s. I mean, I know the name. I recognize some of his iconic cards. But then when someone like how you wrote an article about the player, and then I learn about that player. So I like those articles because I'll be like, I know enough about Joe Namath or I know enough about Jim Brown. I know there was a Jim Brown article because he passed away, last year. But like, I like those sorts of stories, even though I'm a hockey collector. I can appreciate that. So I would hope that non-hockey collectors would see your article and say, yeah, I know who Gretzky is, but now I want to know more about him. And oh, here's this nice article about him. And actually, I got to point out something, though. You actually wrote two articles because then you also wrote one called Wayne Gretzky's Top Cards.
Yes, it was like a sidebar.
Yeah, it looks like a standalone article because they gave it its own separate thing.
You have you have a quibble with it.
Well, I mean, you didn't really push the envelope here, my friend. You said that the best card is the 79-80 O-Pee-Chee rookie, followed by the Topps rookie, followed by the O-Pee-Chee second year, followed by the Topps second year. And I'm like, okay, I see a theme here. But then you like bucked the trend after that because I've read articles like this where people are like the top 5 Gretzky cards. And it's like 1979, 1980, 1981, 1982, 1983. And I'm like, wow, I really learned a lot here. But you brought up the jersey card where he's holding up, sorry, the jersey card. Tim, what why are you laughing, man?
Because it's like he writes this article and you're just like tearing it apart.
No. Because then when I turn the page and I'm like, okay, the 88-89 O-Pee-Chee card, the 88-89 Topps card, which I think is like one of the most significant cards in sports collecting. In sports collecting, yes, I've said it. And then you talk about like some of the harder to get inserts, one of his early autograph cards, a young gun that they put out in 04-05, and then an actual jersey card with like a jersey piece, like one of his earliest jersey cards. Not to spoil the article for you people listening, you listeners, sound like Don Cherry, you people who listen to this podcast. But no, so then, like I said, when I turned the page, I was just like, oh, okay, this took an unexpected turn, and this is really freaking cool.
So I will say two things about whenever there's a sidebar. I will say this. So every time I do one of those, and not often, but whenever I've done one, either for Puck Junk or for a CD or whoever, I get accused of like pumping cards. And I'm like, okay, but when someone says do a top 10.
Who the heck would do that?
Right. Yeah, but when they say do a top 10 of this player, oftentimes I don't even own half of those cards because I might not even collect that player. So that's one. And number two, I was going back and forth as to if I say the number one card is his O-Pee-Chee rookie, could I omit the Topps one? Because it's identical. Let's be honest, guys. Like it's the same card. But I thought it's not in the sense that it's a different dollar value. One is more rare than the other. So I treated them like a totally different card. That's why that first couple look like that. But then after that, I bucked it, obviously. I don't want to say, okay, O-Pee-Chee rookie and then Topps rookie doesn't make the list. That would have been weird.
Well,
right?
No, but the thing is that like the Topps and O-Pee-Chee rookies are always going to, because if the second year card is here, the first year card is way off the charts.
There's a big gap.
There's a huge gap. It's not like certain other cards I can't think of like a good recent example. I mean, there always seems to be kind of like a big jump, but this isn't like, okay, the Lemieux rookie's worth $500 and then his second year card is worth $100. This is like the second year card might be worth a couple $100 and the rookie card is worth like in the thousands or like thousand or more. You know what I mean? So there's such a huge, whatever you want to say, gap
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
divide. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What did you use for the scientific study to come up with your list?
So there was no scientific study. It was more like, let me do a little
What?
research. And then I was like, look, the ones that are worth a lot, you have to put them on. Because I've been accused of also, people have said, oh, I love these lists, but like I can't afford any of these cards on the list. And I'm like, well, look, these are the biggest and best cards of this player. And we talk about Gretzky. I'm not going to put a $2 card on there. It would be weird unless the photography is great. It's got a great backstory. And so I tried to find cards. I was like, look, what's his first patch card? I don't know the answer to that. So I had to do a little digging, right, to find that card. And I thought, okay, well, this card is worth something, but it's also, for someone who doesn't know, this is like one of his first patch cards, right?
So it's both
It
monetary
was a lot of
and
firsts.
significance.
Yeah, it was a lot of like firsts because Gretzky is such a record breaker. I was like, let me look for a lot of firsts.
That makes perfect sense.
That was my thinking behind it all. But otherwise, there's so many Gretzky cards that are great. I mean, the ones I found that were the least interesting were the ones when he was a Ranger, I'll be honest. But otherwise, the ones, all the other ones are iconic, especially in the what we call the junk wax era. I almost considered putting the Pro Set one where the 2000 points one. I like that card. And that's worth what,
The
$1?
one with the orange border on top and bottom.
Yeah, or the one with he's got the arms up in
Oh,
the air.
it's silver.
Yeah, it's
I
the
know what you
silver
mean.
one, and and it's like maybe that I could put that on there. It's $1 card, and it's like super common. I was wrestling with the photography, but also how iconic is it, and what's the demand for it? But it's not scientific, obviously. It's if all of us came up with a list of top 10, we'd have 10 different cards. I'm sure we'd have some overlap, but we'd also have different cards on there.
I was just teasing you. I'm sorry.
No. It's good to push back a little bit. So like, since you have me on, like I can.
Well, no,
defend it.
but I've seen a lot of, and I'm not nowhere comparing you to any of these guys, obviously, but I've seen a lot of like garbage bloggers who will be like, here's the top 10 Gretzky cards. And then it's like 79, 1980, 1981, 1982. Oh, we're going to mention the Gretzky card where he has the long hair. That was like the Red Rooster card that they ended up like destroying. They only printed like 4 of them. They'll throw something really esoteric in there. Or like there was even one blog that like took an image from Puck Junk, and it was the fake Gretzky card that shows him as an Indianapolis racer. And it was like, well, I mean, this would be a good investment because it pictures him before he went on to his fame in the NHL. And I'm like, dude, that card was printed in 1990 and it's a fake card. But this investment site that gives investment advice about sports cards.
Come on, just say it, okay?
No, it's an investing site about sports cards, and they took the image and they like didn't even read the article that they took it from. They didn't copy the text. They just copied the image. Still had my watermark on it, which was fine.
Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson.
Didn't read
Sorry,
the
I
article itself that said that the card was fake. Okay,
right? And they're giving investment advice, which is super scary. But anyways,
yeah, that they're telling you to invest in a fake card that doesn't exist.
But it'll move the market.
Yeah, right. People start searching like on eBay for that card that you were talking about. No, but I stayed away from all the weird stuff, like the team issues and all. I mean, I just stuck with O-Pee-Chee tops, upper deck, like the stuff that you can get. I mean, I didn't do anything.
But what's really exciting about the team issues, other than their team issues and they're maybe kind of a little off the beaten path? Not much, right?
No, right.
We might like that, but one of the team issues I really wanted was an 89-90 Rangers set because it had a Mike Richter card a year before all his rookie cards. You know what I mean? So like that's the kind of stuff that I like, but and that I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast might like as well, right?
But you guys have seen it shows, and I know at the expo I've seen it. The Gretzky card with the longer hair, the prices for that could be crazy, but I just don't see that as something appealing to me, so I didn't include it. But
right, exactly.
Yeah, but people would include it because you're right. All these lists I seen online, and then when I did my list, I didn't look online for lists. I was like, I don't care what people write. And so it's funny that you say that people just chronologically put his first like 6 years on there, or every Oilers card he's ever had, let's say, for
Right.
example, just to cover their bases.
Yeah.
I've been waiting 35 years for somebody to make a Gretzky card for O-Pee-Chee Hockey from the old Saturday Night Live skit.
Dude, I have it on tape.
Yeah, see? Somebody should have made a card out of that.
No, my favorite sketch was the when Wayne and Garth play Gretzky in the hockey game on the small ice rink.
No, Gretzky was good on SNL, like when he did it. I mean, I still remember it. I remember watching it when it was on. So, but for a guy who doesn't, who doesn't have any acting chops, he was pretty good, I thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, so obviously his wife's an actor, and she tried to get him to do more acting, and he didn't want to do it. And I remember reading somewhere that if the Kings won the Cup in '93, Gretzky was going to be on Saturday Night Live again. But as we know, that didn't happen. The other little fun fact, this is something I just found out in the most random way. Like in that Saturday Night Live sketch where Gretzky is playing against Wayne and Garth, and Wayne scores a goal, I was always like, well, who's that Kings goalie, right? Because they just had some random goalie, right? And I find out years later that it was John Davidson who put on the
Really?
pads in the Kings jersey. Yeah, because I
Wow.
found a picture that was posted online of them suiting up for that sketch. And it's JD, because of course JD was retired by then. He was living in New York. I believe he was the Rangers color commentator,
He was, that's right.
like say 1989. So he would have been the guy that they would have called on and said, "Hey, can you come in to do this this sketch or this comedy bit or whatever?"
Right.
So not that he did much comedy. They just needed a goalie to like let in a goal. But
Well, no, we mentioned this at the Christmas episode. John Davidson was in the lighter side, the hockey VHS tape that we all, love, and he was the host of that. Remember?
the host of Hockey the Lighter Side.
That's right. And so that's like the only the only acting credit he has on IMDb. That and this, I don't know, he gets full credit for being in the SNL skit. So
Yeah. So let's talk about this O-Pee-Chee case that went for, with buyer's premium, $3.72 million. So it's like $3.1 million was a heritage auction. Couple shows back, we talked about this 1979-80 O-Pee-Chee hockey case. 16 boxes of 48 packs, 14 cards per pack, 10,752 cards total. So that's going to average about 27 cards each. I mean, considering that if you get like a pretty even distribution, there's going to be some variance because it doesn't divide evenly by 396. But we said, yeah, there might be 24 Gretzky rookies. There might be as many as 28 Gretzky rookies, probably somewhere around 24. 27 would be like if everything divided evenly, and then we just had some cards had like 28. Some are going to have 28. So just to give a little bit of perspective, one of the reasons that drove the price of this case so much is that in December of 2020, a PSA 10 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie sold for $1.29 million. And then in May of 2021, another PSA 10 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie sold for $3.75 million.
And how many PS10s are there?
2?
Oh, so like almost 12,000 of these graded by PSA and only 2 PSA 10s. So let's do the math on that one.
and even the 10 is a generous grade, some people have said. So
Right. They'll be like, how's that a 10 with that centering? How's it a 10 with those edges?
the jagged edges. No, but what we're saying is that the odds of taking out these cards and then getting them graded and then hoping for a 10 and making your money back, the odds of that, you said 12,000 cards, 2 of them are 10s. Those are not great odds. I wouldn't go out ripping packs quite yet.
See, I don't know what a 9 sells for, but a 9, if you got 24 Gretzky rookies and they graded all at 9s, that would still be a lot of money, but then you're paying a lot of money to get them graded, and then you're paying what PSA charges is on a sliding scale based on the value of the card, which, is BS.
Then you have to sell them on a platform where you have to pay your own premium for selling them. So the profit margin here gets thinner and thinner as you go along.
Just look, think about this. If you have 12,000 cards graded, right? And only 2 of them got a 10, and you're 2 out of the whole entire group that got a 10 are going to get between $1.5 million and $3 million, right? So that's your window, right? Your odds of pulling another 10 based off of the entire population of what's been printed is slim to none, and slim left town.
But these are unopened packs.
Even if you look at 1%, it doesn't matter. They could be unopened
It
packs.
does matter, though.
It absolutely doesn't matter, Sal. We know this. The early 80s and the late 70s, O-Pee-Chee products especially succumbed to off-centering, glue marks, gum marks,
Yes.
the shredded edges, the corners being smashed. I mean, if you look at that original box, when they posted that box, the whole bottom corners of all four were kind of dented and smashed in.
You're talking about the case, the
The
case
case
box. Yeah.
the case
Yeah.
box, the carton. So does that mean the stuff inside was messed up? Not necessarily. Whether you trust Baseball Card Exchange or not, whatever, that's besides the point. They opened the box, they took everything out, they inspected it, sealed it up, put it all back in. Great. But if you're turning, 2 out of 12,000, if there were 120 out of 12,000, that's 1%. We're not even anywhere close to that. Like, this is a fraction of 1%. So if you're releasing 24 more of these out into the wild, your percentage, based off of simple math, says that a whopping none of these are going to be 10. I mean, you're going to run the risk and maybe pull one. So you pull 110, you got yourself another $1.5 million. It doesn't pay for the box. So let's say none of them are a 10. You grade them all, they're all 7s, 8s, and 9s. Okay, yeah, you can still make some money, but you're not going to make your full case price back. And even if you look at all of the, next tier down players and the better cards that are in there, high grades of all of them, yeah, some of them sell for a little decent amount, but there's no way you're recouping this. There's no way. And I'm sorry, people can disagree with me all they want and say, yeah, but you're going to get this and you're going to... No, nothing's mint in that box. Like, you may find a few things here and there, but you're not going to pull a full mint Gretzky out of there. I don't see any way that that's even possible.
Well, there's two camps. One camp is like, you got to keep it sealed or keep it intact because that's a one of a kind thing. And the other camp is like, you need to open every pack and live stream it. Now, I can understand buying it and leaving it unopened. This is apples and oranges because this is a set that's 10 years later. But you guys know that I like the 90-91 Pro Set Hockey set a little bit. No, I'm kidding. It's like a set I'm obsessed with. And I saw on Facebook Marketplace, somebody had a sealed case of 90-91 Pro Set Series 1 hockey, and they wanted, I think, $300. It was like 20 boxes. So I did the quick math. I'm like, oh, that's $15 a box. But the thing is that I would buy it and not open it because, yeah, there might be a Stanley Cup hologram in there, but I would just enjoy having a sealed case of 90-91 Pro Set Hockey. You know what I mean? So, like, I reached out to the guy, I said, hey, would you ship this to Chicago? He says, no, I don't do shipping, just local pickup only. I said, yeah, that's fine. Okay, thank you. And I really don't need to have a sealed case of 90-91 Pro Set. But I could kind of understand that.
But that's still $90 less than the per card price of this case. I mean, really, when you break it down,
Yeah.
that's kind of a crazy thing. And whether you buy into the fact that the buyer's premium counts in the purchase price or not, it does. So I don't care. It does. You pay taxes, you pay fees. Doesn't matter what platform you're selling on. If you sold it on eBay, it would still cost you like $3.6 million with all their fees. So either way, you're still dealing with that. So the 3.72, that's the price out the door. That's what it costs the person to purchase this. So you look at that total price and you break all that down from there, and you can come up with a per card price and a per Gretzky price and this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, I'm one of those people that are like, if you open this, you will be sorry. Now, maybe it'll be fun. Maybe you'll bust open a case, crack open a box. You'll pull 2 Gretzkys in one box, and you'll be like, you know what? I'm done. So guess what? Now you got a bunch more cases. Individually, you could sell those off. You might be able to recoup it by selling those off if you want to open one of them. But I bet if you held this for maybe a year, I mean, could you make at least what you paid for it back? I would think so. No, I mean, I guess it really depends on if the economy takes a turn for the worst, like people are predicting later in the year. But who knows?
But I think we're assuming that the person who bought it is looking to
Do
sell
we
it.
know? Did they say who it
No,
is?
we don't know who it is, and I assume whoever spent this kind of money on this has many, many millions, and so they don't care. They might just feel like this is a guilty pleasure. I'm going to rip it for fun on camera, right? Or they're not worried about recouping. That's like stuff we would do. It's like, oh, I bought this and now I want to recoup some of it so I can buy more cards in the future. I mean, someone's dropping like $4 million on this estimate. Like they don't care. They must have many, many other millions that
The
this is-
economy's not going to affect them like it's going to affect us.
I mean, it's going to affect. I mean, Tim. Yeah, Tim is right. It affects everybody in that other potential buyers of even just one box. I don't know how much a box goes for. Is it 20K? I don't know.
Oh, it's more than that.
It's more than that. Okay, so you have a sealed box and it's 20, 30, 40, 50K, whatever. And I've seen shows where it's like sitting there in like a glass case with like a spotlight on it. People stare at it like, "Ooh, amazing!" But but you're not gonna buy a box and just rip it, But I would hope the person who bought it loves cards because I love cards enough to know that I don't want to just buy a big cardboard box and have it sit somewhere like that. That's not fun.
I think Golden and Heritage both sold individual sealed boxes for somewhere between 250 and 300
Okay,
by themselves.
Wow, that's
Yikes.
So that's
wow.
individually. So if you had 10 boxes, feasibly that's $3 million.
Right.
But
yeah.
again, is it way better sealed as a whole package, or do you want to break them off individually? If you want the fun of opening it, great, do it. It's your box.
If you break them off, it may lose the value of the total. But I say, like, if you can sell each one for 250 or 300, let's say, but you want to open one, at the least you can do after spending $3.7 million is say, I'm going to open one of these for fun.
That's the only thing that I would even slide over to the other side of the fence to condone, is be like, hey, let's have fun and bust open one of them and hope there's no G.I. Joe cards in it.
Right, but I don't agree that you open all the boxes because now you're swimming in thousands of cards that aren't worth anything for just those Gretzky's that may not bring. It could be a lot. It could be a lot of sevens in there, sixes, and so
that's the rub, because if you look up sales, regardless of the alphabet graders that graded them, once you get down below,
they're
8,
affordable. They're affordable then, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Ones and twos are still selling for $300-400, but in the grand scheme of things, there's a big difference between $3 million and $400. There's a huge gap. So you get these lower end grades, you open up a much wider audience of people that are willing to spend $5,000 up to $10,000, maybe even 20 for something that's a little nicer quality, versus somebody that can plunk down almost $4 million. I don't know. I don't see any way out of this other than a long hold. I really don't. I think I even said on Twitter, I think yesterday or the day before or whatever, that you got to treat this thing like the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, if you open this, you're going to be sorry, because nothing good is going to come out of it. So,
oh my God,
that's funny.
Treat it like the Ark. Don't open it. Just look at it.
It's like a total catch-22. It's like there's this box out there, and it's like very appealing and luring, and then you buy it, but you can't open it, and there's all the math doesn't make sense. And we talked about this last time, and now we're talking about it again. And it's like the only purchase I can think of where you buy something and it doesn't satisfy a need; it just becomes a bigger problem. And so, I don't feel sorry for this guy. Or
that's all trading cards.
It is weird. It is very weird in terms of like a purchase. I've never seen an auction item like this before. It's like it's odd that you buy this big purchase and then it would come with more problems or more issues, and it wouldn't satisfy a need. It's very bizarre in that
more money, more problems.
Exactly, Mo Gretzky's, mo problems.
But it's I almost envy like the person who bought the Gretzky 10. that makes more sense than this whole box of 12,000 cards that with a potential for more Gretzky's, but there's no guarantees. And so if I'm this guy, I would have gone out and tried to buy the 10 or a 9 and not even mess with this box, but whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded of a quick story. This is when I never really thought about grading, and I still don't really think about grading, but this kind of opened my eyes to the world of grading. I was waiting in line at the National. This might have been in 2017, and this guy had under his arm, he had a whole case of 89 tops traded baseball sets. So I looked at this case, it said like contains 20 sets or 40 sets. And I remember at the time you could get a set of 89 traded tops for $1. And I looked at him and I said, wow, you must really love 1989 tops traded baseball cards. I was being facetious, I was trying to be funny, but I wasn't being like a jerk about it. And the guy looked at me dead serious and he said, these are still sealed. They haven't been searched. I'm hoping to pull a PSA 10 Griffey rookie. And I'm like thinking, wow, like everybody makes their money off of people who just have that dream of getting the perfect graded card that they're going to turn around and then sell for a lot of money. Cuz I'm thinking like if you could get the whole set for like $1 or $2 or $5, what's the Griffey worth? Maybe a buck or two, maybe 5. But then like if you get it graded, okay, yeah, but then you had to pay to get it graded. But the guy who sold the whole case to this guy was thinking, oh cool, I sold this whole case of junk wax to this chump on the dreams that he's going to get a perfect graded card out of it. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody else makes their money off of the person who thinks they're going to cash out and make that top dollar card. Like if I had that case of O-Pee-Chee Hockey, I'd either want to just keep it as a case or I'd want to sell it like the seller did. You know what I mean? Like let somebody else figure out what they're going to do with it and you just make your money in the interim.
Yeah, you're making a good point, Sal, which is the people that sold it, they didn't think twice about selling it. I think they didn't think about opening it and getting a 10 Gretzky. They didn't think about any of it. They just sold it. You're right. So maybe this guy, like Tim says, you got to hold it. But now the truth is, the family that already had it, it didn't cost them nearly as much as this guy paid for, right? So now, how do you make a profit off of this? It's difficult, and we keep pointing out this Ted Gretzky sold for whatever amount of money, but that was during the pandemic.
Right.
The prices were higher, and so I don't think that you're going to get that anymore. And if the economy tanks, luxury goods like this become totally secondary. And so then it's a long hold. And now you have this big box you're sitting on. And if I had this box in my basement, I'd be itching to open it, I think. Or I'd open one of them or something. I mean, it would be calling
Right.
me. It would be calling me at night. Like, so I don't know. It's, unless the person is a total businessman who doesn't care, he's like, I just bought it for fun. I don't even like hockey that much. I don't care about Gretzky. I mean, I can't imagine someone who doesn't have those things would purchase this. But maybe we're thinking too much with our heart and not with our wallets. But I feel like you're right. The more money, more problems is really totally a thing.
Yeah,
And
if you look at my wallet, here's
Yeah.
how much money I have in my wallet. So there you go. For those visually impaired, there was nothing in there.
Yeah, cobwebs. No, but yeah, look, it's definitely something that people are going to talk about, and like people are talking about this everywhere. Like it's all over the media, general media. People were talking about it when it was up for sale. Now that it's sold, but it shows you the allure that Gretzky is. Though, think about it, right? Like the only other person who can do this would be a Jordan. A collection of 84 Jordan, like Fleer cards would bring this kind of money, maybe more. But very few athletes can do this. I feel so. It's good for hockey. People talking about Gretzky and hockey cards. Unfortunately, they think all hockey cards are worth money, and it's not the case. And everything is expensive, and it's not true. And so, we have to dispel that. And all these big ticket items always break into the news because the dollar amount is huge.
You have to give it this though. It took some of the discussion heat off of Bedard's young gun that's about ready.
For 5 seconds, it did. Yeah.
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 So it's been nice to not have to hear anybody talk about that for at least 3 or 4 days.
As we're going to prepare to speak about Bedard's cards now.
exactly.
No, I don't. But yeah.
Yeah, it's given me something else to write about for the newsletter. But you know what? Let's talk about the two recent jersey retirement ceremonies we had. So we had the Pittsburgh Penguins retiring Jaromir Jagr's number 68. And then we had the Chicago Blackhawks retiring Chris Chelios's number 7. And, they're both great ceremonies. One thing I just want to point out, though, just so I don't forget, is that neither of these games were national broadcasts. Should they have been? Should they have been for everybody to see? I know that there was a complaint on Twitter that the Chelios retirement game, or that the ceremony, so that game was on the NHL network. So I guess if you didn't have NHL network, you couldn't see it unless you were in the Chicago territory, broadcast territory, which I am because I'm actually in Chicago. So they started that 2 hours before game time. Game time was 5 o'clock. They started it at 3 with the ceremony. With the Jagr thing, with the Jagr retirement, that was on ESPN Plus, but they had the retirement ceremony as like a separate thing. So instead of like the game, starts at this time and it includes the ceremony, it was like I selected the game and it said, this doesn't start until 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever. And then I backed out and then I saw another thing that said Jagr retirement ceremony. And then I clicked on that and then it said it was about to start, and it did. But then when that ended, then it just like cut out and back to like the ESPN commercial loop. And then I had to like back out of that and then like find the game and then like click on that. So
They made it work. They made it work for you to find it and to
they
follow
made it work. Unless the Jagr game was on NHL Network, then I wouldn't have been able to watch it, and I would have probably been throwing things at the wall because I would have been so pissed off about that. But actually, they streamed it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know what the Blackhawks did with their stuff, but the Penguins actually made it available on every single one of their social media platforms. They streamed it. So whatever you had, you could find it, which is good because you have all of that access now. Why not use it, especially for something like that that's going to unite the fan base, nationwide and even worldwide, because you're talking players that haven't played in the NHL in a while. So most of the fans and everything of them are from the past. And you got players that arguably were icons for the teams that they played for. And they played for multiple teams. So it kind of like can bring in a whole bunch of viewers that, maybe you like Chelios better when he was on the Canadiens. Maybe you liked him better as a Thrasher. Who would think that, but whatever. You're entitled to your opinion. Nobody liked Jagr better as a Capital, though. So that wasn't really good. But, any of the other teams, except for the Flyers, I'm good with. I'm cool. That's all good. But that ceremony was, I don't know. I watched them both. I liked them both. I liked the way they put them together. I honestly think the Jagr ceremony outdid the Chelios ceremony. They were both well done. Like both teams did a really good job with putting them on. If we're comparing the two, which one's better? I think the Jagr ceremony was a little better, but I'm biased, of course. So, I'm looking at that with Homer eyes, which I'm sure you would be, Sal, with Chelios too.
Well, I'm going to point out that at the Chelios ceremony had Eddie Vedder, wasn't in the ceremony, but he was at the United Center. Dennis Rodman was there. Cindy Crawford was there. Wayne Gretzky was there. Mark Messier was there. And these weren't even people who were like in the that came out on the ice. These were just people who were there. I mean, they would cut away and like there's Brett Hull like laughing and clapping, right? And he wasn't even one of the guys that brought out, like, Chelios knew so many people and was like so connected that like every time like it would cut away, I'd be like, wait, is that Gretzky? Like they're not even announcing that Gretzky's at the game, but there he is. You know what I mean? Like they were both really good. I liked the way that there were a lot more Penguins from the 91-92 teams out there, the 90-91 and 91-92 teams. Like Chelios, I mean, he had some of his teammates out there, and the Blackhawks didn't get any championships when he was on the team. But I thought there would have been like maybe a few more players like on the ice, but whatever. I mean, it was still a good, great, whatever. You're happy to see them recognize the players, the player that you grew up watching and idolizing and whatever. So yeah, I never miss those. I mean, I always try to watch them whenever I can. Whenever I see someone's getting a number retired, it's just like, that's the game I'll watch, just drop what I'm doing, gonna watch it. I mean, didn't they retire Lundqvist's number a couple years back?
I think they did. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
And I
remember.
hate to-
I'm conflating it in my mind with the Hall of Fame ceremony, so I don't. But
yeah, no, I'm trying to think. There was a jersey retirement, and I remember like I want to say it was Lundqvist. Gosh, I hope so. Now I'm gonna feel bad if he didn't
I
get
mean,
his
it could have
number.
been another Ranger. I mean, are you getting at the fact that like Messier shows up, Graves, all those guys show up, but whenever they retire a jersey, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, no, just the point is that like I don't care what team it is. I mean, I like Lundqvist, I like the Rangers, I watch the Rangers, but like I'll watch any team retire it, and yeah, it's a total trip down memory lane because it's always guys that played like when we were kids or young adults or even like like in our 20s or whatever. I mean, yeah, I'll get all choked up when the Blackhawks retire Jonathan Taves' number or Patrick Kane's number or Duncan Keith's number, right? And even though those guys played like when I was in my 30s, I'll still feel for it. It's good times. It's good TV. Well, actually, that's one thing I'll say. Maybe it's not good TV because you end up with a 90-minute ceremony that they can't put any commercials in. So I can't see like ABC or ESPN saying, yes, let's show this jersey retirement game and have like a 60-minute block where we can't show commercials because Yager is talking the whole time and there's no way to cut away for like 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, and I definitely would see that. So that's one benefit of having the other platforms and the streaming services and all of that, where you can actually pull that kind of stuff. But, look, speaking from, watching the Yager ceremony first, what I like to see is it's really cool that not only do they show the ceremony and everything, but then you have access to all of the other stuff, so you can see like what was going on beforehand. What's going on behind the scenes. The stuff that they did the day before, and like things leading up to it, and then what happened afterward. Yager stuck around. He didn't leave until after Tuesday, so he went to the next game as well, and he was there. In fact, the next day at practice, he showed up, strapped on the gear, and he was out skating with the guys. And then he came out after the ceremony too and did pregame warm-ups, skated around, hit the puck around. Everybody was wearing the 68 jersey, which I thought was weird because I'm like, they just raised it into the rafters. It's retired. Nobody should have that on. But I get it. That's what they were doing. But I mean, he was out there. He took a lap and all of that, and waved to the crowd.
he was
They just
also
did the
he was also
salute.
in the booth at one point, right? Like
Yeah. So in the
Yeah.
next game, he actually was up in the booth, talking to the TV play-by-play, and giving kind of his take and his synopsis and commentary about the power play and the game flow and everything else. And it's interesting to hear his perspective on it because he still plays. I mean, he owns a team. He semi-coaches the team. He plays for the team, not regularly, but he still plays, and that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Because otherwise, this guy would be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, look at the scoring list. Gretzky's at the top, and guess who's behind him? This guy. So it's like, if you ever decide to retire, not only will you have your jersey in the rafters, but you will also be in the Hall of Fame. Like, there's zero reason to think you wouldn't be.
Oh, and by the way, Lundqvist did have his number retired in 2022. Was in January of 2022. So I do remember
Your
that.
memory was good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I think I remember like we had like if I'm remembering the right day, I believe what happened was at least in Chicago we had like a ton of snow that day or that afternoon or whatever, and I remember finding the game, pausing it, going outside for an hour, shoveling, then coming back in and thawing, and then like unpausing and then like watching the thing, but like I was just like, oh, I am not missing this to shovel snow. Through the magic of modern technology, I can pause the TV and like go shovel and then come back. And that's exactly what I did, So yeah, I did. That's why I remember it, because I just remember that like, you got to do what you got to do. But it's just like, well, I don't want to miss this game though. So I wanted to make sure that I saw that because I always like like those things. Yeah, they're appointment TV for me. When I hear it's going to happen, sometimes I'll put a reminder on my phone or circle it on my calendar so that I don't miss it.
I thought it was great because way more sentimental value of something like this rather than, I don't know that I'd be watching the Mika Kiprusoff jersey retirement that the Flames are going to be doing. Not that he's a bad goaltender because he's a really good one, but I have no interest in that because, well, he didn't play for the Penguins and I didn't grow up watching this guy torch the league for years and years and years. And, the Penguins don't take jersey retirements lightly. There's only 3 right now. Obviously, there's potential for more later on, but you only have 3 jerseys up there in the rafters. Granted, they've only been around since '67, but, still 3 jerseys with all the Hall of Famers that have played for that team. So it's not something that they just hand out like candy. But not that the Blackhawks do or anything. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, they did all their jersey retirements from 1980 forward.
Yeah.
Makita in 80, Hull, I think, in 83, Tony Esposito and Glenn Hall in 1988, and then some others since then. I'm not going to go through the whole list. I'll probably forget one anyway. But yeah, it kind of did it slow at first.
Here's the other good thing about it, too. This was the first time on camera that Lemieux has been back in that building on camera since he sold the team to Fenway Sports. And there's been a lot of rumor and conjecture about a lot of things because, the general consensus is they kind of did him a little dirty. So he's been making himself scarce. And he was never not in that building, like the entire time he owned the team. So not seeing him around now, I've heard that he was around, but they never put cameras on him upon directive of the higher-ups. I don't know whether that's true or not, but since he sold the team, no one's really seen him on camera until that. And I did find it interesting. I kept looking every time they panned the camera over to the different guys. Like you were talking about, they had tons of the guys from the 90 and 91, 92 teams. Like Craig Patrick and Mario Lemieux, both of them looked like they were at any given moment were going to just bust out crying. Both of them had that look on their face. And I think Craig Patrick actually did when he got up and gave his little speech ahead of time. I think the waterworks started. You could kind of see. So,
just to end the footnotes that we mentioned the Gretzky story that I wrote, and I mentioned Gretzky's last game for the Rangers, and the Rangers lost that game in overtime.
To who?
To the Penguins, and Yager scored the winning goal in overtime. And so,
Yes,
it was like a passing of the torch. And I agree. I think he's a shoo-in Hall of Famer whenever that is. That could be, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What I watched part of the ceremony, and what I kept thinking was like, this guy could probably still play 25 games for the Penguins now. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Or it would have been fun if he can play in this game and then retire or whatever, or they just retire his jersey, but that's not possible. But he's also, every time he's interviewed, he always claims his English isn't any good, and then he's actually kind of funny. So I don't know. He's actually like a funny guy, Yager.
Oh, he was cracking jokes the whole time he was up
exactly.
there.
But he always says like his English isn't any good, and then he's like making jokes. I'm like, this guy's just very modest about that, about the language barrier potentially. But no, he's like very personable, and he has been doing more and more signings and shows now. So I think at some point he's gonna think of cashing in and retiring, and who knows. But it was good to see, him being celebrated, and also Chelios, because these are guys we grew up watching and are iconic for us. So it was good. If someone was totally neutral, I thought they were both good, and they're both amazing athletes. So it was fun.
So I want to bring up that February 27th this year is the 30th anniversary of the Forsberg. So if you know, you know. If you don't know, I'll tell you. It was the 1994 Winter Olympics in Lillehammer, Norway. It was the gold medal game between Canada and Sweden. It went to a shootout. Peter Forsberg scored the game-winning shootout goal. The next year, he would join the Quebec Nordiques, who became the Avalanche. He'd win Stanley Cups, go on to a Hall of Fame career, etc., etc. But that goal, I mean, even though we knew Forsberg, those of us who collected hockey cards, we knew Forsberg since he had like a bunch of hockey cards in like 91, 92. He was in like those draft pick sets. He was in 91, 92 Upper Deck, so we knew the name. But a lot of times those guys would get drafted and they would still play a few more years in their home country before they'd come to North America and play in the NHL. And Forsberg was one of them. So this particular goal that he scored, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll try to describe it, but I'm going to link to it in the comments. He's one, it's a shootout. Goaltender is Corey Hirsch of Team Canada. And he comes in and he fakes like he's going to go and bring the puck over to his forehand. So he pulls the goalie one way. But he moves the one way, but as he's moving one way, his stick comes across his body, and then he basically like one hands the puck on his backhand, almost like he guided the puck into the net or like tapped it in. He didn't like shoot it in. It wasn't like a backhand shot. It was more like a push. So at this point, he's going around the post, but he's like got his stick extended, across the goaltender and puts it in the net, and that was the game-winning goal in the shootout. And I mean, I've always known it as the Forsberg, but then I found this YouTube video, and there were actual players who did the Forsberg before Forsberg did. In fact, there was an Alexei Zamnov goal that he did for the Winnipeg Jets like the year before. I think it's one of the most iconic goals in hockey, even got its own stamp in Sweden because it was such an important moment for the country and for Olympic history and for hockey history.
That's kind of like the Michigan goal. Technically, it should be called the Mike Legg goal, but they just call it the Michigan goal, and everybody just takes it. It's like Kleenex. It's all tissue paper, but why do we call it Kleenex? Now, it's a crazy goal. It essentially... You're coming in one-on-one on the goaltender. You're essentially turning the goaltender inside out because they can't play the deke move because they know you can come, you're coming forehand, backhand, and you're twisting. So what do they play? So, I mean, if you have enough space to be able to toss that over and just simply pop it in like that, you know who's good at scoring that? And I've seen him do it probably 3 times. Tarasenko. Tarasenko's done that a number of times. And I think I've seen John Tavares do it maybe once.
Yeah. And most of the time it's in the shootout because they have time and room to do that.
Right.
I will say this, though, just a quick story, quick trip down memory lane. I always talk about 93, 94 being one of my favorite seasons of collecting. So I remember that February, it's like the end of the month, and I was working. I had 2 jobs at the time. I was working in a comic book store, and then I was working at a t-shirt store. I had 2 part-time jobs. I just started college. And I decided that I was going to quit the comic book store. But I wasn't mature enough to know that you're actually supposed to give 2 weeks notice. So in my mind, that was going to be my last day of work. I was going to call up my boss when I got in. It was a Sunday morning. And so I was going to come into work. I was going to call my boss and say, hey, today's my last day. I'll bring in my keys later on in the week or whatever, because he never came in on a Sunday. But then this game went on for so long. And then it went to like the shootout. I can't remember if it was overtime and then a shootout or whatever. It might have been overtime and a shootout. I'm not sure. But because this is 30 years ago and I forgot to look that little bit of information up. All I know is that I ended up being an hour late to work, but it didn't matter because I was the one opening the comic book store that day. And so it opened at 12 instead of 11 or 11 instead of 10 or whatever time it was supposed to open on a Sunday. And I remember just being so enthralled with this game. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. It's just 2-2. It's tied. And then the shootout and then just like that goal and just being like, oh my God, it was like probably the greatest goal or one of the greatest goals I've seen, at least like live, like watching it as it happened. So, I mean, I was late to work because I wanted to see that game and I wanted to see how it ended because I'm a big nerd. And yes, I'll even watch Sweden and Canada on a Sunday morning. And I mean, I even watched the 1998 gold medal game between Russia and the Czech Republic at like 4 a.m. My roommates in college thought I was nuts, that I wanted to stay up till 4 a.m. watching an Olympic hockey game. But I get into it. So I can kind of understand how those soccer fans get up at 5 a.m. so they can watch like Real Madrid and Manchester United. I don't even know if those teams play against each other. Clemente, do they play against each other?
They would. They would.
But you know what I mean? They get up at 5 a.m. to see like a game like that. I could kind of get it because I could do that for Olympic hockey.
So I'll do one better and say, yeah, I was watching that game myself on a Sunday morning, and you have to remind everyone that the NHL didn't bring the shootout in to settle ties until '05. But in Olympic hockey, like soccer, after overtime, they go to a shootout. And so it's still fairly rare for NHL fans to see that. And so as a soccer fan, that was very common. I remember watching that game. Actually, I was watching it with my family. And yeah, and it was like over breakfast, but I remember the same thing. It was like the game went on forever. And it became like this, like sort of like who's gonna survive in the end. And it was super exciting. And then for that goal to be, you know, for it to happen in the shootout then is that extra added bonus. I also remember being up in the middle of the night in Nagano to watch, the gold medal game there. And so a lot of us have sort of the same memories of that. Like, we're up for the big appointments. We're up for like the big sporting events. We're there for like the big hockey moments, whether it means getting up in the middle of the night or staying up late. I mean, it happens in the playoffs, right? If the game goes to triple overtime, you're up all night, or getting up like might have been like 8 a.m. Eastern time to watch Canada, Sweden, or whatever. And I always thought the Sweden jerseys were also really cool. That was another thing too, And as much as I love Canadian players on our NHL teams, it's also always fun to root against Canada at the Olympics because they're always better than the US. And I have lots of Canadian friends who think Canada is, the greatest hockey country ever, and it is. But there's also Finland and Sweden and Russia and everything else. And so yeah, so no, I have a lot of memories of that game, and it was a lot of fun. And I can't believe it's been 30 years though. So that's the crazy part.
Tim's like, I was sleeping that morning.
I might have been. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like Olympic hockey.
I watch Olympic hockey all the time.
I know you do. Did you watch that game?
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's okay.
That was 99, right?
94.
That was
the Forsberg.
Oh, the Forsberg was 94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I probably didn't, but I may have. I don't know. I can't remember that far back. That was before I graduated high school. So if that was Winter Olympics 94, that would have been what, January, February?
February,
yeah.
Of 94. So yeah,
that was
the tail end of my junior year of high school.
That was the bonus Olympics because 92 they split them, so 2 years later they had the 94, so the Summer and Winter Olympics wouldn't come in the same year, and so that was the bonus Olympics. We ended up with two in 2 years. So
where was that one? Was it Lillehammer?
Yeah, that was Lillehammer. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So
Lillehammer.
The bonus Olympics. Yeah, you're right. Because I even remember like reading. It could have been on like maybe like a Cami Granado hockey card or something, and it said like on the back of the card like she's expected to be the captain of Team USA when women's hockey takes place for the first time in the 1996 Winter Olympics, which obviously that didn't happen. It was there was the 94 Olympics instead of 96.
The 98, right. And they got moved. Everything got moved, right.
You'll still find like some things that'll refer to like the upcoming 96 Winter Olympics that didn't happen and I like that they alternated it. I always felt there's like too much Olympics in one year. Like, we're doing this again, and I guess for the countries too, it kind of makes sense if you're going to send like a bunch of athletes to like one country to compete in like January, and then you're going to do it again in July. And it's just, I think it's a little nicer to just kind of like break it up over, every other year's,
Yeah, and the Winter Olympics are always great because of hockey, but also because, you're stuck inside in February and it's cold and you have nothing to do. I remember like major snowstorms hitting New York and like watching the Olympics for like 8-9 hours in one day. It's like I have nothing to do and I'm stuck at home and I'm in high school. What am I gonna do? That kind of thing. So yeah, but it's funny you mentioned this one game because I hadn't given this game any thought since I think the day the game happened. like I haven't read anything about this game in 30 years. I haven't thought about it in 30 years, and So you just bringing it up here was kind of just funny, but like all these memories are starting to trickle back. But it's just very, it's funny. And you mentioned the stamp, which I do remember seeing pictures of that. I think it came out a year later. And the cool thing about other countries is that they can make stamps of like almost anything. American stamps have a high bar, which is you have to be dead to be on a U.S. stamp. Okay, even the Miracle on Ice doesn't have a stamp, as far as I know, because those guys are alive, right? So so in that sense, so Michael Ruzioni might get a stamp, you know, when he's dead. So, and that'll be who knows when. Exactly, but it'll be like decades and decades and decades after 1980, as opposed to Sweden's like, "Hey, this was a great thing for our country. We're gonna put a stamp next year. We're gonna make one." So
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, good times. So let's talk real quick about the 23-24 Star Rookie box set. I just want to mention that the checklist has been posted. I will link to that. So there's going to be 25 cards. As you can probably guess, Connor Bedard, yes, he is in the set. He is card number 1. Other players in the set, besides Bedard, we got Adam Fantilli, Logan Cooley, we got Matthew Nees, we got Brock Faber, Leo Carlson, Ridley Gregg, empty net goal legend. We got Owen Beck, Kevin Korchinski, Will Cooley, a couple others, Zach Benson. So, of course, there's going to be parallel versions. There's going to be gold parallels that are numbered out of 349. There's going to be red parallels that are numbered out of 99. There's going to be green parallels that are numbered out of 5. And then there's going to be black parallels that are numbered out of 1. There are going to be autographed parallels. You get an autograph 1 in every 20 boxes. So, by the way, a box set has the 25 card set and then 1 parallel card. Probably not an autograph. 1 out of 20 has an autograph. Of course, 3 of the players are short printed autographs. Connor Bedard, Logan Cooley, and Leo Carlson are the short printed autographs. And then there are also autographed black parallels, which are serial numbered 1 out of 1. So we got a 25 card set coming out. I don't think there's going to be any shortage of these sets unless, because the breakers aren't going to break it. You're just going to get people who are going to open them and grade the Bedard and whatever. But I mean, just to give like a little bit of context here, Clemente, when we were at the expo, I purchased a sealed 0506 Star Rookie set. I think it was called Rookie Class actually back then. But it's the same idea. It was the rookie box set. It was 50 cards. I want to say I spent $50 on it. Of course, I remember buying that set back in like 0506 or 06, so maybe a year later. I think it was like a $20 set. And I think maybe about 5 years after it came out, you could get them at DA Card World for like $10 because people didn't really look at them as rookie cards. They'd be like, yeah, there's a Crosby rookie in there and there's an Ovechkin rookie in there, but they're not really rookie cards because they didn't come in packs. Now I think people are kind of starting to like embrace the fact that, hey, this is a card of Sidney Crosby from 0506 that pictures him as a rookie, and it came out during his rookie year. So I think people are starting to warm up to these sorts of sets a little bit. Now I think with Bedard, they're just buying anything that he's printed on because we see what's happening with game dated moments. We see what's happening with Topps Now stickers. It's a little out of control. Heck, we see what's happening with O-Pee-Chee, and we'll talk about that next. But yeah, Star Rookie box set should be interesting to see if these fly off the shelves or if people are kind of like, nah, I want the young gun. I want something else. I don't want this common card that you can get super easy.
look, it's funny. I was never a big fan of this set, even though it's super affordable, but the cards don't really hold value, maybe for the reasons you mentioned. Only in recent years has the Crosby and Ovechkin one. I've seen crazy prices in graded versions of it because, you know, those are 2 star guys, and Ovechkin's going for the scoring record. Whatever it is that and this idea that you can sell this card for $100 or more at a show, whatever, in a graded version. But at the end of the day, it's look, if you're looking for, in this case, a Bedard rookie or some other rookie that you like in that set, you should go for it. It's easy enough, and they create these chase ones that are interesting and fun. Look, I think people will gobble them up, but I think the window between this set being released and when the Young Guns comes out is so small, if there even is one, that I don't think it'll be enough time to hype it. I think people are going right for the Young Guns, and I think you're seeing that with some of the O-Pee-Chee ones too. The prices are starting to level off because the Young Guns card is like imminent. It's coming out soon. And so I think, but people like us are going to be like, hey, look, it's still is a rookie card. It is. It's from his rookie year, and we have to get away from all these. We have to start moving away from all these silly rules that like Beckett Magazine invented 30 years ago that we all are like stuck on. Because like I went to the London Card Show recently, and in Europe, they don't care about any of this stuff because Beckett didn't make all these rules in their head, like game dated moments and tops now. And those are all legit cards to them. Like it's got a rookie logo, it's coming out. They don't care. And so, yeah, I'm not saying we need to do all that because the market is what forces, market forces and what people like and don't like dictates the value. But maybe we need to get away from all that. I'm starting to think like those rules were fine back then when it was a Wild West. But maybe now we need to sort of say, okay, this is a rookie year card. That's it. Like, and whether it's worth $20 or $1,000, I don't know. But you're telling me a Bedard version of this card autographed is going to be worth a lot of money, or one of one is going to be worth a lot of money. And so,
or the numbered 99 red parallel, or the numbered
right.
out of 5 green parallel.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah,
you'll get people buying cases of this boxed set, opening it,
right.
pulling like the parallel versions, like the greens numbered out of 5, or the reds numbered out of 99, or the golds numbered out of 349. There's also a blue version that's a parallel, but it's not numbered. And I think every other set has one of those blue parallels. So you got a 50-50 chance of getting a blue parallel or something else. I might be wrong on that. I'll have to double check, but it's the one that's easy to get and it's not numbered. But you might get that where people just are like busting open cases of this star rookie product just to get those parallels and then just dumping the sets on eBay for like $10 each or whatever, just like cards 1 through 25 with like Bedard. I mean, that's what I would do if I was like someone who wanted to have these parallels. I don't really care enough to do that. I just want the set just to have the 25 cards of rookie players, and then I have them, and it's something cool.
Getting a case of this is like the poor man's version of that Gretzky box we were talking about earlier. Like it's like, oh, I'll get a box of this, and you're right. Like look for but we also complain. We have complained in the past. I know privately about even among hockey collectors, numbered cards in a rookie year don't sell as well or matter as much as the Young Guns. That's always like the Young Gun.
Right.
And so even this card, a Bedard out of 99, what would that be worth compared to just a base Young Guns? I think it would still be worth less. And so, look, we'll find out soon enough.
It's absolutely going to be worth less. Not worthless, but worth less.
Less, right.
Yes.
Which is like ridiculous when like I use this example because I don't know if I still have this card or not, but I remember like one card that I would have for sale at the shows is I had like a Kirill Kaprizov rookie card. It might have been like a Premier or Exquisite or something. I don't know. I can't remember, but it was like numbered out of 299. And people be like, got any Kaprizov rookies? I'd be like, yeah, I got this Kaprizov rookie that's numbered out of 299. And they're thinking, what are you, an idiot? That's not a Young Gun. Well, you didn't ask for a Young Gun. You said if I had any Kaprizov rookies, I have this Exquisite rookie that's numbered out of 299. Oh, I also have this rookie class card, and then they would like punch me. No, I'm kidding. I have his rookie class. I have his, wait. I have his National Hockey Card Day rookie moments card. Come back. Right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like when people say rookie cards, they really just mean like a Young Gun. And then they'll be like, oh, well, I'll give you 50 for it. I don't know. Like, yeah, it should be worth anything that's numbered out of 99 of a popular player in his rookie season should be worth more. The thing is that if you drew a pie chart, I'd say 75% of that pie is just going after cards that they think they could resell. And they're going to go after what they think they could resell easily. Wait, I want to know about this card show in England that you went to. Were you like there? Were you like, hey, you guys looking for some Tops Now football cards? I got your Tops Now right here. I got all the Chicago Fire cards you need.
No, I mean, I was in the UK for work related, and I was there the same weekend of the show, and so I was like, let me go. And it was like any regional show in America. And yes, it was a lot of soccer, but there was a lot of other stuff too. And the interesting thing is you really get an idea of like the inroads that the NBA and the NFL have made in Europe. Like there were plenty of people selling NBA cards and merch, memorabilia, and same for, football that you'd probably see at any decent sized show. I mean, that you would see at the Expo, for example. So, so in that sense, yeah, this American style shows are becoming a thing all over Europe, all over the world, maybe. And so, yeah, it was interesting. I did pick up, I did find hockey there, so not a ton, but like I did get an O-Pee-Chee box there. Okay, and it wasn't that much cheaper. It was like even if you translate it from pounds to dollars, it was the same price. It was still overpriced. It was, I think I paid basically 90 US for it, which I think is more than I've ever paid for it before. And so there's a lot of, sealed wax, and Topps had a booth there, a corporate booth. So, the world's gotten much smaller than it used to be. And I think the Europeans have figured out, during the pandemic, they would see like videos on YouTube of American shows like the National, and they were like, why don't we do that here? And there was some Americans there, like either selling or buying or whatever. And so, yeah, no, it was fun. It was interesting. And I wrote about it for SCD, but it's the kind of thing, and I remember Beckett did a piece years ago where they went, I think, to the Czech Republic and went to a hockey show there. And I remember thinking at the time, like, I got to go to a hockey show in the Czech Republic, because they're dying for like NHL stuff. Like they don't see that stuff. They see all the European stickers and all the European sets, but they don't get a lot of the upper deck stuff. So like you just made a joke about Chicago Fire cars. I mean, those guys are looking for European soccer, right? But if we went to Eastern Europe, they would want to buy, our stuff because they don't see much of it, and then they probably got to deal with the same stuff we were complaining about, which is eBay and prices and shipping and all that. So anyway, but the vibe of the show was good because people were talking about, oh yeah, we buy on eBay, but it's nice to see people in the same room, which is why we love shows, because everyone gets in the same room and can talk, and so which is better than eBay or better than just talking on the internet.
Can I ask my one question I have? And I think you know what my question's going to be.
What is it?
How many bro cases did you count?
Okay, so there were bro cases. They actually were selling bro cases, and there were kids with them. I will say. I will also admit that half the show.
So it's a pandemic.
Oh yeah. Half the show was like Pokemon. So I mean, people were dressed up like Pokemon figures. So like it was like Comic-Con meets like the National, because to them they can't distinguish between sports cards and like the other stuff.
It's what Fanatics wants a card show to be.
It's called the London Card Show, and card is like generic, and the logo I think is like a soccer ball, a basketball, and like the Pokeball.
Pokeball. Right? That's kind of cool, actually. I will say this though, real quick. I just got to clarify something. So actually, in the United Kingdom, they call bro cases chum cases, right?
I didn't even know that.
No, I'm kidding.
Chum cases. It sounds like I know
it's
the
me
joke.
Chum case full of cards.
No, but so they had the
that was
card.
A horrible accent.
But
I'll work on it.
What was funny is some of the older people at the show who sold older stuff, let's say, the kind of oddball stuff that I like to see, that like you like to see at the Expo, and they were complaining about like these new people and their bro cases and their Pokemon cards and all that. And so I was like, look, I'm in another country and people come making the same complaint. So, and you can tell a lot of the show was new stuff that people just rip. It's all new. It's all modern, basically. I was curious to see, is there like oddball soccer stuff or stuff from like the 70s or 80s? And there was very little of that. And people told me, well, if you want to get that, you got to go to like a shop, or you got to go to like some antique show or whatever. And it was like, but you're not going to see that here because this is all new money. It's all new people, and it was, but it was a lot of kids, a lot of families, and that's all good. But it was a lot of gaming. It was a lot of the Disney cards and Pokemon and all that. But
That's interesting because I wonder that is, we talk about how 65% plus of a show anymore now is like everything's graded. It's all encased in plastic. And it makes me
right.
wonder, is it like that over there? Or you go to a show here and the first 700 tables of the show are vintage under plastic. And it's like, I had no interest in that. So where am I going? Is it like that there too? Or
So a lot of stuff is graded like PSA, but I think it's because they bought and sell. They buy and sell cards, and maybe they bought them off eBay that were already graded. Because like PSA wasn't there, but I think people in Europe have a harder time getting cards graded. But like JSA was there authenticating autographs, right? And so, so that's a thing. But
just makes me
there,
wonder if the rest of the world is like, it's PSA or nothing. I don't.
maybe because it was the stuff that was graded was PSA, so that's true. So maybe it is PSA or nothing in their mind. But like a lot of the stuff that was graded was like, was new stuff. It was like 10 years old, 5 years old. It was not, and I think this is all pandemic stuff. It's all, but they don't distinguish between the gaming stuff and the sports. I mean, there's two different, I think, type of collectors, but they're commingled. They're in the same show with more ease. I mean, we see it at shows here where whenever we see tables like Pokemon and stuff like that, we're like, what are they doing here? But there I think is more because the word card is broader. And I think if you segmented them out and you had a show just for the gaming people or just for the sports people, you would have very little. The show would be half the size. It would be smaller. And so I think they probably have this idea of like a bigger tent kind of place where people come and go or whatever. But maybe this is what Fanatics will do to shows in America. We don't know, but
Sounds like it.
probably. Yeah, probably.
Well, shall we talk about 23-24 O-Pee-Chee then?
Let's do it.
All right, so 23-24 O-Pee-Chee came out in early February. It is a 600 card set. Cards 1 through 500 are the base set. Cards 501 through 600 are the short prints, with the first 40 being all-stars and the last 60 being marquee rookies. Now, hobby boxes debuted at around $100. I checked today, they're selling for upwards of $150 now. A hobby box has 18 packs, 10 cards per pack, so that's 180 cards, and every pack has a short printed card. So you get 18 short prints per box. Blaster boxes, on the other hand, those cost $25. You get 9 packs. Each pack has 8 cards, so you get 72 cards per blaster box, but then you only get 4 or 5 short prints because they're seated one in every other pack. Of course, with the hobby boxes, you have the higher end inserts like your black border parallels and your retro parallel black borders and like other, like your redemption cards and stuff like that. So if you're in it purely just to get base cards and short prints, might be okay with the blaster boxes. I mean, if that's your jam. I actually finally ordered some blaster boxes. I did get a hobby box, but I also like to get blasters because, of course I want to try to get a Connor Bedard rookie card, but regardless, I like O-Pee-Chee cards. I might try to build the set, and guess what? There's so much O-Pee-Chee being broken this year. There's going to be no shortage of base cards on the secondary market. I mean, I might just buy a base set and then just say, all right, I had fun opening those blaster boxes. It's a gamble. You try. It's like a lottery ticket. You scratch it off and you hope to get something, but sometimes you don't get what you want. But at least with boxes of cards, I still get cards. You know what I mean? I buy a blaster box, guarantee there's going to be some cards I need in there for my personal collection, whether it's a Patrick Kane or a Jonathan Taves or a Ryan O'Reilly or a Blackhawk player or whatever, I'll just say this real quick and then I'll throw it over to you guys. I like the design of this year's O-Pee-Chee set. I've liked the O-Pee-Chee sets for probably since 12-13 was the first year that I really started to like the look of O-Pee-Chee hockey cards. I think before then, I was kind of like, the O-Pee-Chee logo's too big. There were certain things they didn't do that I felt were right. Now I really feel like this is like a vintage card in a modern era. It's low tech. These are great to get autographs because they got like a matte coating on them. They're not super high glossing. They're printed on just nice enough cardstock. That's still low tech. There's no gloss. It's black and white on the back. There's only 5 lines of statistics. My thoughts on that. I want to have all 20 years or however many years, but I get it. But yeah, I like it. And then of course there were a plethora of parallels, and you had the O-Pee-Chee Premier inserts, and then you had like the rainbow foil parallels and the purple parallels, and the retro cards even have a nice design. And of course, there's like the playing cards. So yeah, overall, I like it. My only complaint is that the prices are ridiculous because of one card of one rookie who's having a really good season. Guys, Clemente, you got a box, and Tim, you always have an opinion whether you have the cards or don't have the cards. You still got things to say, so.
Yeah, no, I got a box. Like I said, I bought a box and I paid $90 for it, and which I think is more than I normally would have paid. And I agree with you. I love the feel, the cards, and it's retro enough to, I like it. I like them a lot. So I've complained in the past that the design looks very similar every year, but this year for some reason it doesn't bother me. And I did pull one of the Bedard cards, right, that I showed you guys, and I was very happy with it. Because I wasn't expecting anything, special out of it. And I think this card alone, the one I pulled, which is, I guess it's the base set. I guess I could have sold this card and made my money back on the box, which is nuts, I think. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not in it to do that. But
what? You're a pumper, I heard.
Yes, but my game is I make lists for magazines, and then that's my jam. No, but look, Bedard doesn't need to be pumped. This guy is pumped already. Like every podcast I listen to, I've told you guys this, and they ask like, "What do you think of the future of cards?" They're all like, "I think hockey is the next big thing," and I cringe every time I hear that.
Because they've been saying that since 1990. Sorry,
well,
just had to interject
but they're saying it because of Bedard. Some people will admit that that's the reason some of them don't mention that as a follow-up, but we know it's because of Bedard.
You know what this is like? This is like when I was a kid and I thought that Star Wars invented sci-fi, and all the people 10 or 20 years older than me, even if they liked Star Wars, they'd roll their eyes and scoff, and they'd be like, you ever hear of 2001, A Space Odyssey, or you ever hear of Planet of the Apes, or you ever hear of a little thing called Star Trek, right? Like sci-fi was like a thing before Star Wars, but Star Wars is what put it on my map. Science fiction, right? Was like my ground zero. So all these people are like, oh my God, hockey's a sport. Apparently it's been around since 2020, and they got this guy named Connor Bedard, and he's really good, right? You know what I mean? And you're just like, have you even watched a game? Do you even know who Sidney Crosby is, right? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Sorry.
No, and so just to close the thought, I think that's the reason, but it's where we're at. We can't do anything about it. We talk about it all the time. Now, I think these cards that are going for $80, $100, I think they're going to level off or drop, or this box may drop in value once the Young Guns comes out. Maybe that, or like you mentioned, on the secondary market, everyone's ripping this thing. All the breakers are ripping it, and then these are all base cards they don't want. They don't care about them. And so, there's opportunities for us there, and I think that's a good thing. And whether you pull the Bedard or not, whatever, it's if you have to spend $40 for it. I mean, look, if you're going to spend $85 on the marquee rookie, I would say get yourself a McDavid one then, for probably cheaper than you would pay for Bedard. So whose value will go up or down, who knows, depending on what. I mean, he's back now and he's So the gravy train rolls on.
I mean, if you want the card, you want the card. I paid $80 for an Alexei Lafreniere Young Guns card.
Right.
Because that was a price that I could afford. Now it's like a $20 card. And he's been playing good this year.
Yeah.
He's been really he's been
Well,
good this year.
The
But
problem with him is he's good now in a year where Bedard is like overshadowed. It doesn't matter now, right? And Lafreniere's been in the league too long now, 3-4 years.
People have moved on.
They've moved on, exactly.
Well, they want that quick flip, and so to them, a quick flip is I buy a box of cards for $100. I pull a Bedard card, or I pull like the red bordered parallel and sell it for $300. Right? You know what I mean? Like that's what they want. Like as far as I'm concerned, I mean, yeah, that marquee rookie's selling like $80 to $100. Yeah, it'll probably go down when the Young Gun comes out. That's what I think, because people will move on to the next shiny thing. As far as like the investors go, they're going to invest in what they think they can make the most money in, right? And then people like me who'll just be like, well, I do want that card because I have 599 out of 600 cards. Yeah, I'll buy that one card for $80 and that's fine, or $50 or whatever. And you know what? Maybe I didn't get it from a pack, but so what? That's part of the game, right? Or it just becomes something that's so out of my range, I just decide to live without it, right? Like I always bring up an Austin Matthews rookie card because I think that's the only card I need from 16, 17 Upper Deck, and I think I'll have the full set, and I just don't have that, and I'm probably never going to have that, and that's okay. But, it's just how it is. Yeah, it's funny, like instead of talking about like the pros and cons of the set, we just kind of all agree it's a pretty cool set, but it's been so overshadowed by the fact that people are breaking the set just to get the Connor Bedard rookie card. Oh, by the way, I did not get a Connor Bedard rookie card, but I guess I got 1/9 of a rookie card because I got a puzzle piece. It says top rookie, and it's a puzzle bounty, and you have to collect all 9 of them. There's a scratch off code. 9. I have to get 9 of these. This is just like, that's a chore, man.
Do you guys know if those are individually selling on eBay for anything? Or
Yeah.
$20, $30 each. But remember, you got to buy like 9 of them.
2 weeks ago, they were $160 a pop.
Oh, really?
So if they're any less than that, if you're saying they're only $20, that'd be a shocker to me.
Well, all right, my intel's old then. Goes to show that I'm not really pricing these out because I'm not like shopping for them. I don't know. Now I go, do I get the other 8 or do I sell this one for $160? Right? I mean, then it becomes like what you gonna do?
Yeah, when I first made that list of all the ones that were out there after an hour of this being released, they were like $50 a piece, and within a week they were up to about $160. I don't know what they're at now because I haven't looked because I've given up caring. So, yeah, I'll weigh in. I don't have a lot to say, really, because I love O-Pee-Chee. It's a set I build every year. I'm not building it this year. I'm just not doing it. So if 2 years from now these boxes are down to $49, I'll jump in. But they've taken an ultra affordable set and a set that's designed for everybody that collects and turned it into an investment nightmare for all the people that are just simply trying to capitalize on Bedard fever. And that's fine. Like you said, Clemente, that's where we are. There's nothing we can do about it. It is what it is. The fervor pitch of the demand is forcing the price up, and there's really nothing we can do about it. So, if I do decide to do something with it, it may end up being, and I hate to say it, but what you said, Sal, spending the $100 to buy a whole base set or whatever it's going to cost, and just be done with it in one fell swoop and put it away, and that's the end of it. Because see, here's the thing. You can go back and look at all this stuff, and you can see what these rookie cards sell for. Marquee rookies never go for a ton. And even if we put as the pinnacle the Connor McDavid marquee rookie, okay, first things first, Connor McDavid was not in the O-Pee-Chee set. He was in Update. So the O-Pee-Chee set as it stands with all the marquee rookies and everything else in 15-16 did not have the McDavid in it. So if you built that, you didn't have to spend hundreds of dollars on this one single card just to complete a base plus, short print. You didn't, because it wasn't there. Now, if you build the update, sure, it was in update. He had the retro in there. He had he eventually came out in platinum and all that, same general design and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine, but he wasn't in the marquee rookie. Was there a Crosby marquee rookie? No, because O-Pee-Chee wasn't made that year. It didn't come out till 06, 07. So Matthews, you look at the other big card, the Matthews one. Generally speaking, you can get a marquee rookie Matthews ungraded for under $20. Sometimes you see it push higher, but it's generally under $20. Lafreniere, okay, nobody really cared about him after the first 7 months of him coming out. But at the time, yeah, it was something people were going after. It never hit the Bedard peak from an O-Pee-Chee side. It may have a little bit on the young gun side, because those were going $400 right out the door. And obviously those have plateaued. I mean, I think I saw a bunch of the canvas young gun for Lafreniere selling for $20 or less. I'm like, wow, how the mighty have fallen. But
summer of 21, when I did the National for the first time, I had a lot of Lafreniere cards. My joke was that I bought a lot of hockey that season, and I got every Lafreniere card except his young gun. So I had like pretty much everything except for the young gun and the short printed photo variant young gun. Or I don't think I had a canvas young gun either, but like anything non-young gun I had. And I remember that the O-Pee-Chee marquee rookie was like a solid $10 card. And then if it was like a rainbow or retro variant, it might have been like a $15 card. And, at the time, like $10 for a marquee rookie that just came out a few months ago. Yeah. And that might have actually been in the series. That might have been in a series 2 type of card. I don't know if it was in the update or if it was in the O-Pee-Chee set proper, because 2021 was such a messed up year for cards, and 2022 and 22, 23 and 23, 24 are all messed up years for cards. But yeah, sorry, Tim, just wanted to interject that at the time it was odd that a marquee rookie was selling for like $10.
Yeah, and that solidifies kind of the point that I'm trying to make is this isn't that set. They're called marquee rookies, but as we've already discussed, if it's not a young gun, nobody gives a rat's what anymore. And so this makes this a much more affordable alternative. And look, no matter how hard you trying to make MVP and an O-Pee-Chee set to be some crazy premium thing, no, that's not right. That's just not, it's not supposed to be that way. And, here we are, just, it's fallen into the same kind of hype machine and everything else. Look, the other thing that bothers me about it, and I'll stop with this one. O-Pee-Chee used to be, you get your base cards, you got your rainbow parallels, and you get your retros, and you have your various retro parallels, which were like the rainbow and the black. That was pretty much what you had. Then they introduced like another parallel, and then another parallel. And now we've got base parallels that are blue, that are red, that are purple. We've got printing plates for the bases. The marquee rookies and the all-stars also have the foils, which are rainbow and black and green and gold. And now we've got all this other stuff that's now jammed into this set that's a set collector's set. It's a set builder set. Nobody releases a 600-700 card set for people to just throw away base cards. The whole idea of this is to put the set together. And I don't know. The price is not conducive to doing something like that. You always had to buy 4 or 5 boxes of this to have a chance of putting a vast majority of it together anyway. No one's buying 4 or 5 boxes of this that's building a set at $160 a box, or $140 a box, or even $100 a box. So, like I said, I'll go after it. This drops under $70 easily. I'll go after it. I don't see that happening. If Bedard wins Rookie of the Year, that's definitely not going to happen. So then you push the bar up. What are you willing to go to? Right now, I'm in this place, down here, below my chin, right here on my logo of my sweatshirt that says "So dumb," because that's exactly what this is. And if you're wondering where that comes from, that's a Shorzy reference. But so dumb, because that's what it is. It's crazy. It's the world we live in. It's what we're left with. This is how we have to handle it. You're either in or you're out. Go after your singles if you want. But this has always been my set builder set, and I'm kind of disappointed this year. But hey, that's just me. I'm the negative Nancy of the group, right? I'm always throwing out them positive vibes that are taken in the nonplussed and unproductive realm. So,
Look, it's hard to stay positive when you see boxes sealed wax going for almost twice as much as it should be, for example, or for a car that would normally be $10-$20 to be $85. And look, this could be this O-Pee-Chee set could be the gateway drug for the young gun. It could be the precursor of what we're going to see in just a few weeks. We're going to see those boxes come out, and they're already selling for how much? 2 something, right? For Series 2?
300.
No, 300.
Over 300.
3 to 350.
So we're
right
over
now.
300 now. I mean, it started at 250, 300, now over 300 for a box. Okay. So now even buying a box of that is really going to be difficult.
You're going to pay $30 a pack.
Right.
That
is right.
Has a chance a 1 in it. You only get every other pack has a young gun. So yeah, I mean it's just
but there's what, 50 young guns. So
there's
now
50 young guns. The point is, so even if you get 6 young guns per box, I mean your chances of getting the one that you want are tough. I don't want to do the math now, but
it's going to be extremely difficult. And if you even go crazy and buy the one box, you're going to be very disappointed. You're not going to get your value back, not at all. And in terms of singles, if Bedard is selling for $800 out of the gate, I mean, he's having a good year. He's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. That car will never go down.
But how many are they going to print? Because if I'm
upper
deck,
matter. It doesn't matter.
Billions.
Turn on the faucets and never stop.
It doesn't matter. Look how many McDavid Young Gun cards are graded. 15,000. I don't know.
We're in the E-Pack era.
More than that. Okay.
Yeah, and we're in that's exactly perfect example, Sal. Exactly. Because we're in the E-Pack era now. Not only is it all the hard copies of everything that's printed, but that print run is carried across all platforms. So therefore, whatever's available to get all of the inserts at the print runs that are available, that has to be reserved as part of the E-Pack platform. So not only are there going to be tons and tons of them in hard copies, there's going to be tons and tons of them pulled digitally that'll be turned into hard copies.
But it won't matter how many they print, because if they overprint it and demand is high, it doesn't matter, right?
Oh, exactly. It doesn't matter. It's printing money at this point.
Yes, and it's like we talked about this, the Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie card. They printed that thing to death, and it's still worth money all these years later, graded. And so this will be the same version of that, and it'll just move the goalposts. And people like us will be disgusted because we're the ones that collect the sets and the star players, and we're going to be like, well, we're priced out. What are we going to do now? Okay, and we have to watch all these guys in their bro cases ask you at the Chicago Sports Spectacular, do you have a Bedard Young Guns card? It's like, even if I bought one and I wanted to make a profit on it, what am I going to sell it to you for? $1,000? Like $1,500? I mean, what's the limit here?
Well, if it's a $700 card, they're going to want to pay me $5.
Right, so they can flip it at the trade night.
Right, and the joke that I told everybody, like when I did the Sports Spectacular in November, and people said to me, do you have the Connor Bedard super short print card from Series 1? And I'd said no. And then I'd say, I went to the Expo, the Toronto Expo the previous weekend, and everybody had it for $700. And then I smiled and said, I wasn't going to pay $700 for it so that I could sell it to you for $500. And they'd laugh because they knew that that's what they would offer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I kind of made a joke of it. Like, well, I'm not going to buy it for $700 so I could turn around and sell it to you for $500. And they would chuckle because, that's what they're thinking. Like, oh, I'll give you $500 for, right? Like
you're a wholesaler or something. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the thing too is like, not to get off on a tangent, and we've gotten off on a lot of tangents, but like, you can't please all of the people all of the time. You know what? And the guys at the bro cases, I realized a long time ago that they would be very hard to please because if I sell them $100 card, they're going to want it for $80 or $70, which means I'd have to pay $50, which means that I'd have to either have a card that's worth $100 and sell it for $70, or somebody who sells me $100 cards, I'd have to really squeeze them hard, because I'd be like, well, I'm selling this to a guy who's only going to pay me $80 on 100. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't even mess with that, right? Like, I don't even mess with like getting those top dollar cards because the guys that want them are going to try to get them for 75% or 60% or whatever, right? And I just worry about the collectors, like I said, like at one national when somebody stopped at my table and he's like, I love enforcers. And I said, hey, I have this Chris Nyland rookie card. Really? And I got a Stu Grimson rookie card and I got a Bob Probert rookie card. And I sold over $100 of like just enforcer cards, rookie cards, jersey cards, autographs that most of the bro cases wouldn't even cared about, right? But to the right person, it was like, oh my God, you have these cards. These are amazing, right? And so, so that's why it's still fun for me because I haven't gotten obsessed with like how many Connor Bedard marquee rookie cards can I bring to the next show, right? Do I have Connor Bedard cards? Of course. Am I going to sell Connor Bedard cards? Of course. But I'm probably going to be selling stuff that's more collector friendly in the price because I'm not going to beat myself up trying to get these cards for hundreds of dollars because either I have to then sell them for over that, which isn't collector friendly, or the guys that want to buy it to invest are not going to pay that anyways. So
but you're not going off on a tangent. What you're saying, I think, is that these bro case people are the ones driving the price up. And we know that's true because people are dipping into the hobby now. They're dipping into hockey just on the name of this one player.
Right.
And they're going to dip out when they get tired because they're not here for the long game, but like I always said, I don't think the card price will go down, the Young Guns card, if he wins Rookie of the Year. Once that you raise that bar and it's $1,000 card, why would it go down? So he gets hurt. It goes down a little bit, but doesn't go down that much. Like you'd have to win Rookie of the Year and then have like 2 Lafreniere like seasons all of a sudden to dip. And that's not going to happen because he gets plenty of playing time and he's a star, and the league is banking on that now. Yeah, we sound like a broken record, but we're getting closer to that date now. And I think the O-Pee-Chee set that just came out and the marquee rookie prices are just preparing us for that inevitability. I mean, I don't even know what the Easter egg card is going for because, according to all the rules, right, isn't that really his first rookie card? Isn't that his real rookie card? It's the first one, came out of a pack, right?
Technically, it's a draft card because it doesn't show him playing.
Okay, so boom, so that's it. So right, so there you go. So you paid $800 for that card. You're a fool. Sorry, and who knows what, and what's going to happen with that? You're going to be sitting on that card. Great, because it's you can make all the arguments you want because it was the hot thing to have back in November, and now people are like, oh yeah, the Easter egg card. I don't even remember that card.
Whatever's new and shiny. Whatever's new and shiny is what they'll jump on. Look, here's the last thing I'm going to say about all this, just because it's my cherry on top of this whole entire statement. And it's this. Those cheaper sets I've always built. I put them together. O-Pee-Chee not so much in a binder, like MVP goes in a binder with all the inserts and all of that. O-Pee-Chee goes in a box, more or less. I love it. I like this design. I think it's really good. I like the retros. I didn't think I was going to like the retros with that weird rainbow thing in it that looks like, NBC Peacock or whatever. I don't know what they were going for, but in person, I like it. I think it's cool looking. The black ones look even better. The black parallels. I have nothing against the set. I just have against. I'm just. I don't like what has happened to it. I understand it, but I don't have to like it. And to me, and this is my own personal world that I live in. This is my own personal take on it. Nobody else's. Boxes have never really been my thing to break. Yeah, I bought boxes because how else are you going to get cards, especially larger quantities? And if you're building sets, that's the way to do it, obviously, without buying them full. But my wife got into collecting because of that very reason. She enjoys and has fun breaking open boxes. And I can't tell you the last box we've really bought to open because we can't. Nothing new. So anything we buy is old. I'm not even going to lie. The last box we opened together was a 91-92 Upper Deck box that I got for $12 because I wanted to open something. So that's what we went with, and that's what we opened. And I thought it was fun. Nobody else did. Just didn't know who half the players were. She couldn't pronounce some of the names. So I thought that was fun. It was entertaining for me, and it was nostalgic. But again, what am I getting out of that? I already have that set. I already have most of the single cards in my player binders. I don't really care about it, but it was just that whole tangible thing of opening packs. You can't do that with new stuff. And the other bad part is my local card shop has all the new stuff, and most of the old stuff hasn't been replenished. So your only options are the new. And when the prices got shot way up, like for instance, the extended from 2021 that's been found at shows for like $29 for a box. Yeah. My local card shop's price is $70. So everything bumped. It's like this lift. So we talked about that lift, rising tide raises. Yeah. Everything on the wall. You look at all the prices. I'm going, wait a minute. Usually he was reasonably placed on like this stuff. Now it's all like crazy. And I so we haven't done anything. We haven't really, and she hasn't been interested in it. Now, to me, what has that done to me? Okay, any of my hobby money that I'm going to use, it's freed it all up for me to buy singles. I have plenty of projects I'm working on, team sets, player collections, all of that kind of stuff. And that's what I've pretty much used my money on for the last 8, 9, 10 months. Because it's really all I can do.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The other thing I noticed about this set is I usually used to see blaster boxes at like Target and other places. I have not seen them. I don't know if because people gobble them up or because I haven't seen them.
No, I'll tell you
Yeah.
real quick. I've been monitoring my local Target shops.
Okay. Yeah.
They haven't had them in the store yet. I don't go to Walmart, but
Okay.
I've also been looking at Target.com and Walmart.com.
Yeah.
Walmart.com has them, but they're not being sold by Walmart. They're being sold by a third-party person.
Sure.
They finally appeared on Target.com as of this week. That's where I ordered my blasters from because I get the 5% off.
Right.
I mean, I was thinking about buying them from the Upper Deck store. But then it's like, well, I'll just wait and see if they have them at my Target, or because then I could just take them home that day, as opposed to waiting. Although Upper Deck's really quick with shipping. But so starting to see them at Target.com. So that's where I bought them. And a
few weeks ago, we were talking about this, remember? And I said, I just watched a guy, or I didn't watch all of it, but somebody posted a break, 16 cases
of this stuff
of O-Pee-Chee. 16 cases. How many breakers would have been breaking 16 cases of O-Pee-Chee last year before? Even with Lafreniere, never.
Dude, I could tell you, in 12-13, I bought a case of O-Pee-Chee because I really wanted to buy a full case because I wanted to build a complete set. I just wanted to buy a case of something, and that was.
And what'd that run? $500-$600?
It was $500, and you know what, dude? It was tedious. It took me a long time to open.
A lot of cards.
It was still when they were like 32 packs in a box. So it was a lot of work to open 32 packs times, I want to say it was 12 boxes. It was a lot. It was a lot of work. So I could, if you said here's 16 cases, I'd be like, oh, yay, too much of a good thing.
Oh, wait, so those breakers are going to take all those base cards and just dump them, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
they're just gonna.
they
They don't even. I've watched people. I watched somebody do a case break at the upper deck booth to get like whatever the freebie was, and they just stood there, opened the pack, put the good card aside, didn't even look at the cards. They just basically just picked out if it was an insert or a parallel or a short print. They put it in one pile, and then they left, and there was a stack of cards like 2 feet high on the counter that they just left behind, right? And they just opened it. It was like they weren't even enjoying it. They were just doing it to do it.
That's like the breaker pavilion at the National. Like if you're looking for like a Topps baseball set complete, you can probably find one in a box because they just dump they dump everything. They don't.
You can find it in the trash can right next to the booth.
They're in the bins. They're just in boxes and in bins and garbage because they don't want them. And which is, it's crazy. It's sacrilegious, but it's just totally crazy that this is where we're at, where, like this guy who broke the 16 cases, he's just looking for Bedard cards, everything else, and anything with a number on it, even that, I don't think he cares about.
Right.
And so, how many, so he can sell for $85. I don't know. Is that worth it? I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's but also tells you how much of this O-Pee-Chee stuff they printed. I mean, maybe it's always been overprinted. Who knows? I never, it was always very affordable. So I never really thought about it in terms of quantity because I never thought of it as any kind of investment. It was more for fun and, and whatever. But yeah, look, the Young Guns cards,
it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, the Young Guns card's coming out soon. So we'll see. Yeah.
And we can sit here and debate who's the bigger get off my lawn guy all we want, but I don't know.
Well, I think anyone who collects hockey seriously has to be thinking the same thing we're saying. We can't be in this some minority. I'm sure most people who are hockey collectors, and I think the next expo is coming up too, right, in April. And then serious hockey people go to the expo. They all have to be wondering, like, what are we going to do with this? Like, if you're a dealer and you have it and you want to sell it, and people are going to buy it, great. But otherwise, I don't know, or if you rip it and you get it and you put it, I mean, the truth is, the reality is if you buy a box of Series 2 and you get this card, you're lucky enough to get his Young Guns. The smart thing to do is to sell immediately because the FOMO, you're going to make a lot of money. And yeah, it might be worth more money in the future. Who knows? But it doesn't make a lot of sense if a player who's only played in the league 1 year has a card worth more than rookie cards of famous other players or stars or McDavid or Lemieux or, Crosby. Everything. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, compare a Ray Bourque rookie card to a Cale Makar rookie card. Which one's going to cost you more?
Right. Yeah. No,
and which one had the longer, more storied career?
As in there's a Hall of Famer compared to a guy who could be. But
not saying that Cale Makar is at all a bad player. I'm just saying that, yeah. So
that's the best part about comparing them because defensemen get no love in the hobby.
Right.
If your name's not Orr, nobody cares.
All right, gentlemen. Any last thoughts before we wrap this one up?
We struck a negative tone, but we're not negative. We're just realistic about what's out there and what
we have a duty to tell people what's going on. And a lot of them know this and some of them don't know this because, I mean, not everybody collects everything. And even I don't collect everything, but you guys collect some things that I don't and vice versa. So, I mean, we're being realistic. We're not giving you investment advice because that's not what we do other than like Clemente said, if you get it, sell it because that's the time to before the next
it's a hot card, sell it.
Before the next shiny thing comes out, before his SP authentic or his cup rookie or whatever, right? There's going to be other stuff and I'm sure Upper Deck is going to think of a few other things to make as well. Who knows, right? Like they did with that star rookie set that was sold on ePack a couple months back, right? Like they're always going to come up with stuff to sell. All right, then. I think this is a show. I think this was a good show. So thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please be sure to like and subscribe. Please be sure to leave us a review if you have a few minutes. If you like to read, there's the Puck Junk newsletter, which you can sign up for at puckjunk.com/newsletter. There's also the Puck Junk blog at puckjunk.com. And until next time, collect what you like.
For more hockey goodness, follow us on Twitter at Puck Junk.